Good afternoon to all. And the tradition of our HPGI in conducting these courses is being live for the last couple of months when the peak of COVID crisis was there. And we are continuing with the same spirit. I hope you like our program. The committee that is responsible for managing this medical ethics program is very active, and they take a lot of initiatives to rope in speakers. And, all the speakers here are very senior level faculty members, and they're very much focused into many of these ethical aspects of our patient care, be it COVID or otherwise. We also have a program in our own institute before these lectures were introduced by the government, and where we also give lectures to our new entrant students, residents, on the ethical aspects of their patient care. So with that introduction, I hand it over to Dr. Vinita, who is responsible for organizing the medical ethics program, to go ahead with the program today. And I find this program is very, very interesting. Today topics have been chosen very carefully. I hope that no repeat of the topics, I think. So, and what we will be very interested to know that if you're interested, we'll post it in our institute portal, and it must have been posted already. If not, we'll see that it is posted. So when you have time, you kindly access these contents. It will be all streaming media. And also you can refer this to your friends and your students and other community also to access it. These are valuable educational content. And you can also give reference to the media also, so they also can access this thing. And it will be of immense satisfaction to us if the consumers find it very useful. So Dr. Binda, please go ahead with the program.
So today we will be talking about a very important topic, that is effective communication in healthcare. What are the skills and challenges that we face? I request Dr. Afzal, who is the Executive Registrar of the Institute, to address the audience.
A very good afternoon to all of you, all the respected speakers and the delegates who are going to be actively involved in today's seminar. This is the 7th medical ethics seminar, and it has been running successfully for last several months. So it is the hard work of Dr. Vinita and the entire organizing committee. Today we have got a very interesting session, which is like communication in healthcare, skills and challenges. And we all know that communication in healthcare is both a science and art. And this comes not only with reading books, or a lot of it comes through experience. And that is why today we have got very eminent speakers from our SGPGI faculty, from both surgical and medical specialties, who will share their experience in communication skills. And we also have got a very fine mix just to have the perspectives of the residents and the nurses. I am extremely thankful to Dr. Sabrinath, who is a postdoctoral fellow in Department of Nephrology, who has also spared his time to share his experience today with us. And we have got Sister Vimlesh from the Department of Clinical Immunology, who will be also talking something about communication and the experiences of the nurses, personnel, as far as the healthcare is concerned. As far as the faculty for today is concerned, I don't think so they need any kind of introduction. And I think so now, Dr. Vinita, without wasting much time, we can start the session now.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. S.K. Mishra and Dr. Afzal for the kind words. So first of all, we'll go on to the first topic, which will be taken by Professor V.K. Kapoor. He is a head Department of Surgical Gastroenterology, and he's an excellent speaker with an admirable skill of talking and communicating to all. We have seen him organizing not only the academic sessions, but also the non-academic sessions of the faculty club with equal zeal and excellence. I invite Professor V.K. Kapoor to talk about the communication skills in healthcare. Dr. V.K. Kapoor will be joining remotely.
Thank you, Vinita. I think Dr. Afzal made a very important point that this skill cannot be taught through the books. It's very important for our young colleagues, the resident doctors, to learn the skill from their seniors when they are talking to the patients and relatives. Many a time I see during the ward rounds that once the ward round is over, the residents kind of go here and there to complete their clinical work. And that is the time when we, the faculty members or the consultants, speak to the relatives. But that's also an important part of the training, and you should stay there when the consultants are talking to the patients and relatives. So I've been asked to cover a very general topic of effective communication in medicine. And in the allocated time, I'll try to cover some of the aspects of communication in medicine. So the residency period, the two important things which you have to learn are knowledge, which is the science, which to a great extent you can learn by reading only. And of course, the patient care, the skills, which obviously you have to learn in the ward, in the theater, in the endoscopy suite, in the dialysis, wherever you are working. And part of this, of course, today can be done with the use of artificial intelligence with the help of simulation. But the soft skills, of which communication is a very important part, as we have said, has to be learned by the bedside, watching, observing your senior colleagues, your teachers, your mentors, as to how they do it. Some of us may be doing it good, some of us may be doing it bad, but you have to learn both so that you try to avoid the bad methods of communication also. What is communication? Communication is basically art of exchanging not only information and knowledge, but even thoughts and ideas, even feelings and emotions. And this could be in various ways. It is not necessary that communication is only by hearing or by reading. It is by observing also. And because communication is not only oral or written, there are non-verbal methods of communication also, which include bedside manners, how you approach a patient, how you handle not only the patient, but his or her records. For example, if a patient comes to you with a bunch of papers in a file and gives it to you and you just hold it and put it aside, that's a bad communication. You may not go through the entire file, but take it in your hand, flip through the pages, show as if you are going through them, definitely go through the important ones, but don't just discard them. That is bad OPD or bedside manner. Your body language, how you walk, how you appear, even how you dress is important. And there are so many parts of this non-verbal communication. Even your unsaid thoughts, the way I respond to a patient, the tone and tenor and the volume in which I speak tells the patient whether I'm taking interest, whether I'm concerned about the patient, or I'm just kind of talify the patient to say in the common language. Listening also is an important part of communication. It is not only speaking and writing, listening. When the patient is telling you her story, how attentively you are listening to her, whether you are maintaining eye contact with her, or whether you are looking at your computer screen, email, WhatsApp, you are talking to somebody. All this is also important piece of communication. So active listening, attentive listening is also an important part of communication. And the first contact between the patient and the hospital, in a government hospital especially, is you, the resident. And as we always say, first impression is the best and lasting impression. So as a resident, you have so many people with whom you are communicating. With some, it's important, like your communication with patient is the most important, bilateral. Then your communication with your consultant. Then, of course, the communication with the nurses, which again is bilateral. But there are some other, I would say, distractive communications, like patients' relatives, especially if they are politicians or bureaucrats in an institute like this, your interaction with industry. And then finally, at the end of your training, because the aim for you is to pass the exam, your communication with the examiner. I may not be able to cover all these communications, and I will briefly touch on your communication with your own family also. So with the patients, there are several things which are a complete no-no or a probable no, which I have not shown here. But there are definitely some qualities. I won't go into all these details. in this 8-minute presentation, but there are some qualities which are desirable, which should be there when you are communicating with the patient. So you have to be empathetic, you have to be understanding, not in COVID times, but otherwise a touch, an appropriate touch also is a very good method of communicating and reassuring the patient. Similarly, in the OPD and the wards, when you are communicating with us, the faculty, how you present a case, whether you are concise, taking into account the time, whether you are focused, that you are highlighting only the problem which has to be dealt with, whether you have done a thorough workup, all these things are very, very important, and you should try to imbibe these skills as far as possible. So when we go to a cafeteria, you give an order. It's always that a good waiter repeats the order, and same thing should be done in the ward rounds. When a consultant says, get an endoscopy done for this patient tomorrow, reconfirm that what you have got is correct. And many mistakes occur because of wrong communication between the faculty and the residents during the ward rounds. And especially if some other resident is making a note and a third resident is following those instructions. So there are multiple channels, and with each channel, there is a possibility of loss of communication or miscommunication. Consultations are very important methods of communication, because here one team is communicating with the other. And again, I won't go into the details, but each consultation should be very clear when you ask for a consultation, and second, when you respond to a consultation, and your response should be as thorough, as complete as possible, so that the two teams can make benefit from each other's skills. Small talks should be avoided, especially in areas where you need more concentration. What is small talk? When you are doing an important job, don't talk about anything else. If you have to talk, talk about what you are doing only. So here I'm standing, the residents are operating, but if I'm talking to them, I'm not talking to them about what happened yesterday or what will happen tomorrow. For some other patient, I must restrict my talk to this patient only. Otherwise, you can have accidents which can happen in any other area also. So as I said, communication is not only talking, it is listening also. Active listening, proactive listening, attentive listening is very, very important means of communication, both when you are talking to your patient and when you are talking to your consultant. These days, we all have to be tech savvy. There are some manners of online communication, when to put your video on, when to put your audio on, what is the surrounding, whether somebody is moving around, what he or she is doing. Very important. I have several examples of modern day miscommunication with this online use of communication. Towards your seniors, you have to understand that there is a subtle difference between being argumentative and discussing something. Again, there is a difference between being loyal or being a sycophant. What I personally would want, that you should have brain, but at the same time, you should have spine and guts also to stand up and to say something, even if it is to your senior, of course, with respect and in scientific communication with evidence. How you treat your subordinates is very, very important. These are the people who are doing work for you, the nurses, the patient attendants, the safai wala, because if they do a small mistake, it will create not only problem for the patient, but also problem for you when you report to the consultant. So you must behave with them, and it is best to treat them as you would like them to treat you. And as somebody has said, that people always remember you not for what you did for them, but how you treated them. So a good respectful behavior even towards your subordinates is very, very important. Character is very important. You are all becoming super specialists, but before that, you are a doctor. I want you to be a good human being. So there are certain features in the character which at least I personally do not want in any one of you. And there are some other characters which I would want you to have. So honesty and integrity are the two very important components of the character of a resident, of a doctor, and in my opinion, of a human being. I would skip some of these slides. I'll just show these slides to you so that you get to know what is important. So when a resident says non-diabetic, actually he may be meaning non-diabetic. It is only a problem of pronunciation. Similarly, spellings are very important. The city, of course, doesn't welcome visitors anally, and it has happened that a wrong drug was given and the hospital and the doctors were fined. Wrong site is important. This child was to be operated for frenulum. Unfortunately, it was a male child. So we know that in males, there are 2 frenula, one in the tongue and one somewhere else, and the wrong side surgery was done. So finally, I would say that what you do helps and saves the patient, and that's the most important thing. You must do, you are all doing it, but what you communicate with the patient avoids the litigation, even if things go wrong, and what you document in the file saves you, even if there is a litigation, and everything must be documented. Not only what you did, but what you thought and what you discussed with your consultant or with another team must also be documented. So many times we obtain consultation on phone, but that must be documented. Lastly, work-life balance is very, very important. I know that in our healthcare system, we don't pay importance to duty hours, leave, off, and all those things which are there in the West. But at the same time, I don't want to go to the extent of saying that a resident should not work more than 48 hours a week, because I don't think a resident can be trained in that many working hours. But still, I think we need to do a lot more as far as working hours and especially the working conditions of the residents are concerned. But please take care of yourself, save some time for your family and friends. Yes, you dedicate yourself to work, but don't sacrifice yourself, because unfortunately, we have problems related to that. So if there is poor communication, it not only leads to bad patient care, it causes dissatisfaction, mistrust between patients and doctors and litigation. On your part, it leads to poor learning and poor training, and then it reflects on poor quality of life. And we've had, and we have read and heard about those unfortunate incidents where some of the residents have rarely been forced to take an unpleasant step, which we all want to try to avoid. So that is all I think I could cover. I'm sorry, I have exceeded already my time. Thank you all very much. Communication is the key to success in all fields, including medicine. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the excellent talk. We loved your thoughts. Thank you for telling us and reminding everyone that it is very important to be a good human being. And communication involves not only speaking, but also listening. And trying to non-verbal communication is also a very important part of the communication skills. Thank you, sir, for your thoughts. And now we move on to the next talk. It will be by Professor Aditya Kapoor in the Department of Cardiology. It is always a pleasure to listen to his talks. He is an effective communicator and the talks are all full of life. So I invite Professor Aditya Kapoor to talk on the challenges in communication. What is a consultant's perspective? Dr. Aditya Kapoor.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody, and thanks, Vanita, thanks, Dr. Afzal. Thank you for this initiative and thank you for inviting me for this important topic. So there will be a fair degree of overlap between what I am going to say and what Sir said. So okay. So Sir already elaborated. Communication actually means the process wherein we can exchange information, messages, thought, either by data presentation or more importantly, by developing good communication skills. And as Dr. Kapoor correctly said, this is not a skill which can be taught. It is a skill which we have to nurture and build slowly, not only maintaining good physician-patient relationships, but good relationships with our colleagues as well. And this includes all aspects of language, verbal, words, paraverbal, how we say these words, and Sir already elaborated about body language. Why is it important for doctors? Because medicine is a communication intensive practice today. We have multiple subspecialties, care is fragmented across numerous physicians, multiple handoffs are there. So critical information needs to be communicated effectively, and our professional survival depends on being good communicators. Basic difference between information and communication. Information is a one-way process, giving out. Communication is actually getting through to the other guy. And often the biggest problem with communication is the illusion that it has been accomplished. So we should, get around that. The very attempt that we are not trying to communicate with others, communicate something about us to the other person. Your colleagues, both seniors, juniors, they are not mind readers. Hence, people will judge you by your behavior, not by your intent. So your behavior towards your seniors, juniors has to be pretty impeccable. And always communication is contextual, situational context. My interaction with my junior or senior may be different in a formal meeting as opposed to what takes place in a closed room or at a social gathering. Keep that in mind. Environmental context, what time of the day, week you are interacting with your colleague. He may be busy, fatigued. Remember, you cannot get along well with everybody all the time. And of course, cultural context, which is very important in a multi-hierarchy system like a healthcare setting. Because we'll work around language barriers, we'll work around different backgrounds. So we have to keep these three things in context. As a consultant, I feel communication barriers would exist at the departmental level. Sir covered briefly about senior, junior colleagues. I'll elaborate about that as well, and doctors and paramedical staff. So at the departmental level, it could be an intra-departmental conflict or a communication barrier, competition for the same resources. Different clinical approaches will lead to inequality of caseloads. Administrative responsibilities may differ, and you may have differing relationships with the clinical and medical directors or people who are higher in the hierarchy. So all these will lead to conflict, but ultimately it will boil down to the fact whether you are a team player or an individualist, whether you are a joiner or a loner. So you have to get around all these barriers. Interdepartmental level, sir correctly mentioned about referrals. So this is a very, very important thing. Important to receive the reason for referral, conveying a sense of urgency if it is there. Equally important to provide a good specialty feedback. For instance, we tell all our residents, it's not sufficient to just write echo. We have to do the echo and provide information related to the echocardiogram. So that is very, very important. Unfortunately, this happens only 30% of the times in clinical practice. This is actual published data leading to frequent gaps and errors. And often, unfortunately, the patient becomes his or her own messenger of medical records. This should not happen in a hospital. Coming to senior and junior colleagues, if I am a senior, what I want to be is a good role model and mentor. So I have to create an environment where juniors will feel safe to speak up, be rewarded for initiative, be rewarded for decision making, be rewarded for independent thought process. And as sir rightly said, we should be listening well. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth. So as we move up the hierarchical ladder, we should listen twice as much as we can speak. So that's a very, very important skill which we should nurture. A keen and hardworking junior is always an asset. And I know I'll raise my game when I work with competent residents and students. So I should be encouraging them to show not dissent, but ask questions freely. Important for juniors to show curiosity, inquisitiveness. However, fear of reprimand and ridicule often leads to closed channels with the seniors. So they should be permitted, even encouraged to show doubt, be able to freely question the senior. But this depends on how secure that relationship is, how receptive the senior is. And the responsibility for nurturing this relationship has obviously a mutual thing. It has to come from both sides. So this should not be the relationship, should not be such a dominating relationship. It has to be a more of a nurturing or a mentoring relationship. Lastly, coming to doctors and paramedical staff, we should always understand that we are trained to communicate differently. The nursing staff have a broad and narrative descriptive style. Doctors have a more pinpoint descriptive style, but both these styles have to merge together. For all of us who work in interventions, surgical field, we know that the inputs of surgical staff or the cath lab staff or the ICU staff, Dr. Afzal can vouch, is often very, very important in managing patients. And this is actual, again, data from UK. When the nurses were polled across ICUs, the nurses reported much lower levels of communication openness with doctors as compared to their own colleagues. So we have, again, it's our duty to bridge these communication styles, respect the nursing cadre, involve them in patient care. So 4 key points to remember at the personal level. Organize your thoughts critically before speaking. Be polite and courteous. Remember, the medical world is small, but people have long memories. Speak when you are angry. You will make the best speech you will ever regret. So always think before you speak. Never judge your colleagues by the impression given to you by others. Always formulate your own opinions. At the organizational level, we are often constrained by professional norms, but I think at the organizational level, we should encourage medical staff to interact more often socially to ensure better patient outcomes. 3 steps I think are very, very important. Sensitize the staff to the need of developing good interpersonal skills, recognize and also try to resolve interpersonal power conflicts. We should respect hierarchical boundaries, but not be intimidated by them. So as an organizational level, we should try to restructure and reorganize hierarchical differences whenever needed if they are interfering with patient care. So my message is quality care, error-free performance, and good mentoring are not necessarily the result of being well-trained and trying too hard. They're often because we are good communicators. And even patients will value this skill because they often wish their doctors communicated better with each other. So we have to respect the patient's wishes as well. Take every advantage of practicing your communication skill. This is a continuous process. And as sir rightly said, it is not only for the juniors, for us also. It is a must for all of us, irrespective of status and age. So I made this acronym. Good communication skill will assist your careers. Actively listen, speak with discretion, show empathy, introspect into your decisions, stay constructive, build and earn trust. Credit, be generous with it, allow your colleagues some space, respect more, reprimand less. Maintain eye contact when you're talking with people. Inquire about others' well-being. So it's important to interact with them socially as well. And if you do all this, it will remove communication barriers. Remember, this is the famous battle between Alexander and Porus. And Alexander defeated Porus. He said, how do you want me to treat you? He said, treat me like a king. So treat others as you would like to be treated yourself. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Aditya. That was really wonderful. And thank you for the acronyms. I think our staff will remember these acronyms and try to move on those lines. I think the most important message was also given that we should encourage others to do well, to communicate well, and be able to be receiving what they are trying to tell. That is also very important in communication skills. Thank you, Dr. Aditya, for that wonderful lecture. Now I move on to our residents. We know that our residents, as Dr. Kapoor also said, they are the face of the institute, and they have to interact. They are the first face which interacts with the patients, their relatives, and they also need to interact with their colleagues, with the consultants, with the nursing staff, and all staff in the institute. I now request one of our residents, Dr. Sabarinath, who is from the Department of Nephrology, who will be talking about the importance of communication with patients and what is the residents' perspective and what are the experiences that they face. Dr. Sabarinath will be joining with us remotely. Dr. Sabarinath, please.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. Am I audible? And are my slides visible?
No, sir.
Yes?
No slides, sir.
Slides?
The slides are not.
My slides are not visible. Just a minute. Visible now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Sabarinath. I finished my residency training in nephrology in our own institute, and I'm currently working as a postdoctoral fellow in renal transplant in the Department of Nephrology. Thanks to the team for inviting me to talk on the challenges in communication with the challenges and what are the challenges they'll be facing on day-to-day practice. So in order to become a good physician or a surgeon, we require not only clinical and scientific knowledge, but also excellent communication skills to ensure good doctor-patient relationship, especially to gain patients' confidence. So I grew up by hearing the saying in MBBS from my professors that history taking and communication with the patient is an art that has to be mastered by each and every one. That's why probably the clinical classes are incorporated in the medical programs from the very beginning, that is from second year MBBS, training us and making us to talk to the patient and communicate with them from the very beginning. But once we enter the junior residency in medicine like MD or MS, we face the real challenges in communication with the patient and patient relationship. There is no end to learn this art of communication, and the main aim is to gain confidence. I have to thank Dr. Kapoor sir for your wonderful thoughts. Those are the qualities that every resident should acquire during residency, and it's an ever-learning skill. The first barrier what we face is the language barrier, because the residents who belong to different region or state have difficulty in communicating with the patient and the families who can speak and understand their own language. It then becomes imperative. Sometimes we depend on our colleagues or the seniors or even nursing staffs to bridge this communication gap. It takes some time for the resident to learn new language, but ultimately they learn. Until then, gaining confidence from the patient is very, very difficult. I myself consider as a best example. I am from Tamil Nadu. I don't know any other language apart from Tamil and English. I did my medicine in Karnataka, where I went and I struggled to learn the language. And after 6 months, I became very fluent in Kannada. And after coming to Uttar Pradesh, I learned Hindi, and it took some around 6 to 8 months to cope up with the patients and what exactly they are trying to say to us. So until we learn a good language skill, because many of us will go out of the state, it is very difficult to gain the patient's confidence. And if you are not gaining the patient's confidence, they will not let us know anything. The second difficulty what we face is the time factor, especially in medical colleges where the OPDs will be very high turnover OPDs and there will be a much patient load. No adequate time will be there to communicate with each and every patient equally, especially if you want to prognosticate about the terminal illness or a progressive disease or a non-curable disease, which requires patience and time to talk to the patient and the patient relative. It might not be possible in crowded OPDs. And the other area where we face some challenges in talking to the patients is the emergency station, especially in the emergency and in the trauma rooms, where there will be less residents and more sicker patients. They will be coming in, and there will be less manpower, and we'll be able to take history and we will be proceeding to the treatment, but there will be very less time to communicate with the patient regarding the prognosis. And even if we communicate in that short period of time, many doesn't hear because the patient relatives are apprehensive and they don't believe us what we say. And sometimes even it may lead to physical or verbal abuse, which is very common, and so many incidents have been recorded. And another challenge what we face is after a hectic prolonged duties. It is very common to have 36 hours duties, and although it is very useful for us to learn more things, but after a hectic prolonged duty, the resident will feel exhausted, and naturally they will have a lack of effort to communicate. Sometimes after an emergency ward round, like after doing some 24 to 36 hour calls, sometimes the empathy might be suppressed and we will not be able to communicate with the patient properly what exactly they want to communicate with us. And another one big challenge is facing VIP patients. It is like sort of a nightmare for any resident. And because we'll be getting pressure from many people, from the senior colleagues, from the administration, and as well as from the patient relatives. And the residents, first of all, they go and hesitate to talk to them. And it is very difficult to take a history from a VIP patient, especially, and even if you want to do even a simple procedures like putting an IV cannula, we'll be hesitant to go and do those procedures with them. Sometimes the relatives will not properly communicate with the resident directly. I myself have experienced during my residency in medicine where a VIP patient got admitted, and for even a simple complaint, they will be calling the consultants, and the consultants will call us, even though the residents will be sitting outside the patient's cabin 24/7. And another one last thing that I want to mention is there should not be any disharmony among the seniors and the juniors. As Kapoor sir has well said, it should be a nurturing relationship rather than a dominating relationship. Sometimes our senior colleagues would point out the resident for missing some clinical finding or not sending some investigation, or sometimes the wrong treatment in front of the patient and the patient relatives. Sometimes it will be very embarrassing for the resident. After such instance, the patient or the family will lose confidence in the resident and the whole team, and eventually it will lead to a large communication gap. Many of our professors, they will not say anything in front of the patient, but they will correct us once we come out of the patient cabin. That is one thing that has to be nurtured. And other challenges that we face are unrealistic patient expectations. Whatever we say, they will stick to their own point. They will not listen to us saying that you are junior doctor and we have to listen to the senior people. And there is always a fear of litigation. Many of the patient and the patient relatives, they'll be recording what the junior resident is speaking, and it will have its own consequences. And sometimes patients' anxiety and fear. While disclosing a non-curable disease, if the patient is very anxious, the resident will feel somewhat, it will be a barrier for them to disclose the disease. Probably the coming talks will be enlightening us on how to handle those situations. So these are some few practical challenges that we really face, that I have faced during my entire 6 years of residency. And this communication skill is an ever-learning art, and it is a knowledge that is gained day to day till our curriculum ends. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on this.
Thank you, Dr. Sabrinath. That was really nice. You brought up the barriers and the nuances of effective communication, what the residents face in everyday life. Thank you for bringing out all the points. That was really nice about the challenges that we have, the challenges with the seniors, the challenges with the junior and the patients. Thank you. Now we move on to the next talk. That will be by Sister Vimlesh. We know that the nursing staff is the backbone of any institute, and they are involved at every stage of patient care. So it is important to have their point of view, and they are the ones who communicate the most with the patients and the patient relatives. And at the same time, they have to communicate with the doctors and their colleagues and other staff. So I request Sister Vimlesh, she is from the Department of Clinical Immunology, to present her thoughts and experiences about the challenges in communication with patients and what she has seen over time. Sister Vimlesh, please.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir. Respected Dr. Sir and all senior faculty, those are joined with us with this meeting of Zoom. Our topic is importance of communication with patient. तो as well as जैसे सभी सीनियर्स लोगों ने बताया है, और मैंने जो देखा है अपने कोविड पीरियड में, तो ये जो हम लोग पूरे साल कोविड पीरियड में हम लोग एक दूसरे को कम्युनिकेट को फॉलो करते हुए और हम आज की डेट में जो है सभी पेशेंटों को सबको सेफली बचा पाए हैं, ये एक कम्युनिकेशन चैनल का ही एक बहुत बड़ा हुआ रूप है। तो इसलिए मुझे आज मैं बहुत खुश हूँ कि मुझे ये मौका मिला है कि मैं इन पॉइंटों को आपके संग शेयरिंग कर पाऊँ। तो कम्युनिकेशन क्या है, जैसे आप सबने बताया, कम्युनिकेशन एक बहुत ईजी मीडिया है जिससे हम सही इंफॉर्मेशन रिसिपेंट तक पहुंचा पाते हैं, जिसको वो फॉलो करके और अपने आप को स्वस्थ रख सकता है, हेल्दी रख सकता है, ना कि खाली पेशेंट बट उसका फैमिली मेंबर, कम्युनिटी और अपने देश को भी हम बचा सकते हैं किसी भी ऐसी पैंडेमिक कोविड-19 बीमारी से। इसी बेसिस पे हम लोग आज इसकी डेट में हम लोग सब स्वस्थ हैं। तो बहुत सारे ऐसे इम्पोर्टेंस पॉइंट हैं जिनको हमने ध्यान में रख के पेशेंट को हेल्प प्रोवाइड करी है, और नर्सेस एज ए मीडियम पार्ट ऑफ होता है, मिडिल पार्ट होता है, जो कि हम लैंग्वेज को शॉर्ट आउट करके, डॉक्टर लोग बोलते हैं सिस्टर आप समझा दीजिए, तो हम उनको समझाते हैं जिससे वो बेटर तरीके से समझ पाते हैं और उसको फॉलो करते हैं। उसका आउटकम बहुत अच्छा देखने को मिला भी है और ओबियसली मिलता है। वैसे तो रूटीनली नर्सेज बहुत डाइवर्जेंट ड्यूटीज अपने टाइम टू टाइम पीरियड में वो करती रहती हैं, और आज के डेट में कोविड पीरियड में तो हमें बहुत अच्छा आउटकम देखने को मिला है बाय द कम्युनिकेशंस। तो सम पॉइंट्स है जैसे कि स्मूथली ऑर्गेनाइजेशन फंक्शन को रिमूव करना, जो हमारी गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया की प्लानिंग है उसको हम अच्छे से सक्सेसफुली कारगर बना पाए बाय द कम्युनिकेशन मेथड, सुपीरियर टू जूनियर से भी लेकर पूरा टॉप टू बॉटम हम सब लोग ने एक दूसरे को कम्युनिकेट करते हुए चैनल वाइज हम चले, और आज के डेट में जो है हम उस पर जीत पा पाए। स्मूथली ऑर्गेनाइजेशन फंक्शन कहता है क्या क्या, प्रिवेंट फ्रॉम इन्फेक्शन टू द पेशेंट, पर्टिकुलरली पेशेंट ही नहीं, उनके फैमिली वाले, सराउंड हमारे जो भी पब्लिक हेल्थ सेक्टर के लोग हैं, जो भी हमारी पब्लिक है, उस सबको हम सेव कर पाए बाय द कम्युनिकेशन मेथड। और ये कम्युनिकेशन मेथड जो है वो 3 टाइप का होता है, वर्बल, नॉन वर्बल एंड रिटन। तो वर्बल में हम एक दूसरे से बातचीत करके समझा पाते हैं, नॉन वर्बल में जो है हम कोई सिग्नल देके हमको समझा पाए, जैसे एक एग्जांपल दिया बेयरिंग ऑफ मास्क कैसे पहनना है, क्यों पहनना है, कब पहनना है, और हमें कितना डिस्टेंस मेंटेन करना है 2 गज की दूरी का, एक खाना बना करके हम लोगों ने इसको इंडिकेट करा तो लोग समझ पाए और उसको उन्होंने फॉलो किया, और आज की डेट में जो है सब लोग हेल्दी हैं। नेक्स्ट थिंग क्या है, ऐसे ही सिग्नल, और एक नॉन वर्बल रिटन, कुछ हम एक स्टिकर चिपका देते हैं, उसको लिख के हम समझ पाते हैं, पढ़ पाते हैं कि हमें कैसी चीजों को सेव रखना, वो भी सब एक कम्युनिकेशन का वे है, एक मीडिया है जो हम इंफॉर्मेशन रिसिपेंट तक इजी वे में सही तरीके से पहुंचा पाते हैं। नेक्स्ट क्या है, और मेंटेन हाइजीन, जैसे हैंड हाइजीन हम लोगों ने बहुत फॉलो किया, सैनिटाइज करना है, चीजों को टच करने से पहले उन्हें सैनिटाइज करना है। इसके बेसिस पे जो है हम लोगों ने बहुत लोगों को हैंड हाइजीन मेंटेन करके और सबको हेल्प प्रोवाइड कर पाई। स्पेशली वो जो बहुत सिक इल पेशेंट थे जो नहीं आ पाए, वो भी अपने सराउंडिंग एरिया में इन चीजों को फॉलो करके आज के डेट में सब हेल्थी रह पाए। और प्रिवेंट फ्रॉम डिजीज, कोई भी बीमारी है, डायबिटीज है, कार्डियक है, हाइपरटेंशन है, इसके लिए भी हम लोगों ने डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन करके भी लोगों को घर पे भी सुविधाएं देके हमारी पिक्चर्स वगैरह के माध्यम से भी हम लोगों ने लोगों को इंट्रोड्यूस करा और वो लोग आज की डेट में सब हेल्दी हैं। और प्रमोशन ऑफ हेल्थ एंड रिकवरी ऑफ इलनेस एंड किसी प्रकार की डिसेबिलिटी को भी हम लोग बचा पाए। और साथ ही हम लोगों ने बहुत इम्यूनिटी बूस्ट करके लोगों को इम्यूनिटी न्यूट्रिशन प्रोवाइड करके लोगों को व्यूज दे करके लोगों को इंस्ट्रक्शन दे करके कम्युनिकेशन के माध्यम से ही हम आज की डेट में भी उनको अच्छा कर पाए हैं और वो आज के डेट में सभी लोग हेल्दी हैं। तो इस प्रकार गुड सॉफ्ट स्किल कम्युनिकेशन के द्वारा हम लोगों को स्वास्थ्य प्रोवाइड कर सकते हैं। गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के जो भी प्रोग्राम प्लानिंग है हम उसको सक्सेसफुली बना सकते हैं और मरीजों की किसी प्रकार की कोई भ्रम, कोई चिंता रिगार्डिंग ऑफ डायग्नोसिस, रिगार्डिंग ऑफ एनी कोई वरीजनेस है, उसको हम जो है दूर कर पाए और कम्युनिटी मेंबर को भी हम इन मामले में हम सहयोग कर पाए हैं। और इस तरह से हमने पूरे कोविड-19 पीरियड में एक दूसरे को चैन वाइज कम्युनिकेशन को फॉलो करते हुए सभी को हम लोगों ने अच्छा रखने की कोशिश की, हेल्दी रखने की कोशिश की और जिसका हमें ऑब्टेनिंग ऑफ रिजल्ट जो है वो आउटकम बहुत अच्छा देखने को मिला है। सभी के हितों का ध्यान रखा है। इस कम्युनिकेशन के आसान तरीके के द्वारा एक दूसरे को हम लोगों ने जो है सबको इम्पोर्टेंस पॉइंट बताते हुए और हाई स्किल कम्युनिकेशन के द्वारा ही आज की डेट में ये सब पॉसिबल हो पा रहा है, डायरेक्टली और इनडायरेक्टली। कोई चीज हमें तुरंत पता चल जाती है, कोई चीज हमें लेटर परिणाम मिलता है। जैसे कि हम लोग सब कम्युनिकेशन स्किल को फॉलो करा और आज की डेट में जो है वो सभी लोग स्वस्थ है उन चीजों को मानने के साथ। एट लास्ट मैं यही कहना चाहूंगी कि ये इम्पोर्टेंस बहुत ज्यादा है, ना कि खाली पेशेंट के लिए, हमारे सबके लिए कम्युनिकेशन का इम्पोर्टेंस जो है बहुत ज्यादा है, जिससे हम सभी को जो है हेल्दी रख सकते हैं। इसी के साथ मैं ये कहना चाहूंगी कि ये प्रोग्राम, ये हमारा गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के जो सक्सेस प्रोग्राम है, इनको हमें कंटिन्यू करते रहना चाहिए, करना भी और उनको फॉलो करना चाहिए। जो कम्युनिकेशन स्किल है जो हमने देखा और इसके बेसिस पे आज कोविड वैक्सीनेशन लग के भी, और ये भी क्या एक कम्युनिकेशन चैनल के माध्यम से सब तक ये इन्फॉर्मेशन लगातार इस इजी वे में पहुंच रही है और सब लोग इसका फायदा उठा रहे हैं और लिहाजा जो है कोविड-19 से हम लोग पूरी तरीके से जो है वो जीत जाएंगे और फाइनली जो है कोविड-19 हमारे देश से पूरी तरीके से इरेडिकेट हो जाएगा। थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू टू ऑल, थैंक यू वंस अगेन। और इसी के साथ मैं अपनी बात खत्म करती हूँ और हमारा सब ये लेक्चर जो है आप लोगों ने सुना इस पेशेंट्स के साथ, मैं इसको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देती हूँ, जिससे हम दोनों पेशेंटों को, अपने पेशेंटों को बचा पाए और हम सब लोग स्वस्थ समाज के निर्माण की सहयोगी बन पाए। थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू।
थैंक यू सिस्टर, थैंक यू। आपने बहुत ही अच्छे से बताया कि कैसे हम लोग ये सब लोग समझ रहे हैं एज डॉक्टर्स, एज स्टाफ, एज नर्सिंग स्टाफ, एज पेशेंट्स कि कोविड-19 के समय में नई नई कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स हम लोग सीखे हैं। एक तरीके से ये भी एक तरीका है जिस तरह से हम लोगों ने आपस में एक दूसरे से कम्युनिकेट किया है ओवर दिस कोविड पैंडेमिक।
टॉप टू बॉटम सभी लोग एक दूसरे के साथ सहयोग रहे हैं।
राइट। तो हम लोग ने बहुत एक मतलब गवर्नमेंट से लेके मैं कहती हूँ सबसे नीचे तक, कहीं से भी आप सोच लीजिए, तो कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स का एक नई तरीके का कम्युनिकेशन स्किल एक डेवलप हो गया है। सो शायद आने वाले टाइम में वो कंटिन्यू भी करेगा और बहुत हेल्प करेगा हम लोगों को कम्युनिकेट करने के लिए। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद अपने थॉट्स शेयर करने के लिए और बताने के लिए, और थैंक यू फॉर बीइंग देयर, फॉर being a backbone during the COVID pandemic and helping everybody to come out of it. Thank you, Sister Vimlesh. And now we move on to the next speaker. This will be taken by Professor Punita Lal. She is head of the Department of Radiotherapy. We know that communication in medicine is very important, that we have been listening. And with the field that she is in, that is communication with patients in oncology practice, the cancer patients, it is a challenge in itself, because we know that life expectancy in these patients may be less or maybe more. So, and the patient relatives are also very apprehensive. So that is in itself a great challenge. I call upon Dr. Punita Lal to present her views and thoughts about the same.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vinita, Dr. Afzal. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. So, जैसे जैसे I think communication we've discussed a lot from Dr. Kapoor's perspective, Dr. Aditya's and sisters' perspective, residents. I can only say I'm talking about one particular type of patient. उनका क्या पर्सपेक्टिव होता है और वो क्या एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं हमसे. सो बेसिकली जितनी बड़ी बीमारी होती है उसमें कम्युनिकेशन का रोल कम नहीं होता, वो बढ़ते चले जाता है. एंड इट्स प्रॉब्ली एज इम्पॉर्टेंट एज द ट्रीटमेंट दैट वी गिव टू दीज पेशेंट्स. So I would like to start off with an example between one conversation between a doctor and a patient. And ये देखते हैं कि किस तरह से communication किसी भी direction में जा सकता है. इसलिए what Dr. Aditya had said कि it's not just one way कि information नहीं पाठ करना, वो वहाँ तक पहुँचती है और सही प्रकार से पहुँचती है, that is equally important. So a doctor is telling a cancer patient that, as you may remember, when we first started with chemotherapy, we told you that we would check blood test करेंगे, X-ray before each cycle. I have looked at your CT scans today, and what it shows is that there are signs that things are progressing. And so we do not think that you should have any more chemo. So patient listens and says, so what happens now? And so the doctor says, well, I think now we just want you to come back and see us if you develop any further problems with your breathing, or we'll just treat your symptoms. So this is the information that the patient gets, and he goes back home, and the patient is asked by his family कि क्या बात हुई. So his interpretation is, he tells that the doctor said it's good news, really, because the doctor thought that the things are progressing, and I don't think you need any chemo anymore. So आपको घर जाना है और आराम से रहना है. अगर कभी कोई दिक्कत होगी तो देखेंगे, which is unlikely. So it just tells us that doctor was trying to convey in soft language कि भाई आपकी बीमारी बढ़ चुकी है और इलाज के दायरे से बाहर हो चुकी है. But he got the impression that things have progressed and it's good news. So communication, needless to say, is a very important tool, and especially so in cancer, because जब भी हम देखते हैं we find that whenever a diagnosis of cancer is made, it is a perfect storm that is created in the life of that patient, because it's going to affect the life of the patient. He or she was least expecting it, and he or she has no control, and neither does the family. So it's like a complete sort of everything goes into disarray. And this is the kind of ऐसे माहौल में हमें उनको communicate करना पड़ता है, which is what we call as breaking bad news, which is largely what in these major illnesses we are finding ourselves doing. And like what Sister Vimlesh said, कि communication केवल verbal या written नहीं होता, इसमें बहुत role होता है non-verbal communication का, which is your body language, tone, how you're speaking, the pace at which you're speaking, they all play a major role when we are doing breaking bad news sessions. None of bad news, जैसे कि उसका नाम है, it is always not a good thing to part with, and we all inevitably find it difficult to break this bad news. Why so? Why is it that even doctors, even experienced and senior doctors find it difficult and would rather avoid? Because we know that the reaction from the other side might be very violent or abrupt, and that outburst we are probably not trained. हमारी training जब हुई थी तब इस तरह की formal training में ये नहीं सिखाया गया कि how to individualize these challenging situations, and which is what we really need to do in our training. So as healthcare oncology professionals, हमें patient को और family को दोनों को repeatedly communicate करना पड़ता है. ये bad news देनी पड़ती है at the time of diagnosis, या फिर जब बीमारी बढ़ने लगती है, या फिर at the time when the patient is reaching the terminal phases of his or her life. Most often we find, if we have to be aware that there will be some generalized initial reactions that most patients and carers would be giving us. For instance, they will go through a phase of shock or denial. नहीं, ये मुझे तो नहीं हो सकता, मेरे को क्यों? फिर एक गुस्से भरी फेज होती है, anger, full of anger. Then there is bargaining. When the patient is saying कि try कर लीजिए, हो सकता है slide बदल गई हो. You know, he's trying to bargain with you or with the God above or whatever. That maybe it is not what we are trying to tell him. Then he goes into the phase of depression. And lastly, and which is not always achieved, is a phase of resigned acceptance. कभी कभी कोई patient accept करता है कि this is what it is and this is what I have to live with. So these are phases which we see in different time spans in different patients. In most of the big major illnesses, not just cancer, but major illnesses, we will encounter these phases. हमारी तरफ से हमें ये सोचना है कि इतनी वाइटल इंफॉर्मेशन हमें बीमारी के बारे में, उनके डायग्नोसिस के बारे में, उनकी ट्रीटमेंट के बारे में, डिसीजन मेकिंग्स रिगार्डिंग ट्रीटमेंट, ये सब देनी है जब मरीज और उसके रिश्तेदार इन इमोशंस के थ्रू गुजर रहे होते हैं. एंड दे हैव टू, वी आर एक्सपेक्टिंग देम टू मेक डिसीजंस व्हेन दे आर गोइंग थ्रू सच मेजर इमोशंस. So we have to keep these things in mind when we are talking about the information that we are giving. Then comes the question कि ये bad news जो हम देते हैं ये कौन देगा? ये कोई भी OPD में, like the resident talked about or Dr. Kapoor talked about कि एक heavy OPD में जहाँ पे it's so busy, should anybody give that information, or should it be somebody who should make time, who has seen the natural history of such illnesses many a times, he should be giving. So it is said that it is somebody who is reasonably senior and experienced and is going to be there for the patient. He is that to-go-to person. The patient or the family knows कि अगर कुछ और पूछना होगा तो ये डॉक्टर से या ये नर्स से हमें बात करेंगे तो हमें ये वापस जवाब और हमारी एंजाइटी ले हो सकती है. कई मॉडल्स बने हुए हैं when we talk about sharing of bad news. The commonest one being Spike's model, जिसमें कि हम अपने स्टूडेंट्स को सिखाते हैं, रेजिडेंट ट्रेनीज को, नर्सिंग स्टूडेंट्स को, कि किस तरह से अगर हमें ब्रेक करना है तो कैसे बैड न्यूज को ब्रेक करना है. We have to make it little एक फॉर्मल इंटरव्यू टाइप बनाना पड़ेगा जहाँ पे which is more peaceful. ऐसे ना हो कि हमारा फोन भी बज रहा है मोबाइल का और लैंडलाइन भी बज रही है और 4 पेशेंट्स भी हमसे सवाल पूछ रहे हैं, उसमें हम किसी को बता रहे हैं कि भाई आपको कैंसर है. ये ठीक नहीं है, ये फेयर नहीं है उस पेशेंट के लिए. और उस टाइम पे the person concerned who has to break the bad news in that interview has to assess कि इनको कितना पता है, पेशेंट को और फैमिली को कितना पता है, कितना वो जानते हैं, कितना गैप है उनकी नॉलेज में जो उनको आज जानना चाहिए और आज पता है. एंड आर दे विलिंग टू लिसन टू व्हाट यू आर सेइंग, या उनका मानसिक स्थिति अभी उस प्रकार की नहीं है कि वो आपकी इतनी बड़ी गंभीर इंफॉर्मेशन को ग्रहण कर पाए. So you have to invite them that, do you want to know what I wish to tell you about this disease? So इस तरीके से हमें थोड़ा सा उनको गेज करना पड़ता है, तभी then only should we part with the information. Information usually patient को और उसके relative को छोटे sentences में, simple direct sentences में बतानी चाहिए. बीच बीच में pause करना चाहिए, जरूरत पड़ने पे repeat करना चाहिए. टोन हमारी जहां तक पॉसिबल हो होपफुल होनी चाहिए, बिकॉज एज हेल्थ केयर प्रोफेशनल्स हम शायद उनको क्योर कर पाए या ना कर पाए, बट कुछ ना कुछ जरूर कर सकते हैं और वो होप हमें उनको देनी चाहिए, whatever we can offer realistically. We should also know as senior professionals कि कब information patient के लिए या family member के लिए ज्यादा हो रही है, too much overloading of information is not going to fetch us anything. वो confuse हो जाएगा, इसलिए we should know when to stop and maybe hold another set of interview. And in the end, we must always strategize कि आगे हम ये करने वाले हैं and summarize कि हमने आज ये डिस्कस किया और अगर आपको जरूरत पड़े तो आप ऐसे हमें कांटेक्ट कर सकते हैं. This last piece of information is mandatory. ये चीज हमने ज्यादातर जब डायग्नोसिस के टाइम ध्यान रखते हैं, बट वही चीज लागू होती है व्हेन द डिजीज स्टार्ट्स टू प्रोग्रेस, रिलैप्स होता है, रेकर करती है या मेटास्टेसाइज करता है. फर्क केवल इतना होता है कि अब पेशेंट एक्सपीरियंस्ड होता है, रिलेटिव्स एक्सपीरियंस्ड होते हैं, उनको एक तरीके से आइडिया होता है व्हाट दे माइट बी इन फॉर, दे नो टू एक्सपेक्ट. सो our approach should be again stepwise, again gradual, and what we can realistically offer without being untruthful should be our approach. Then comes when the patient is reaching the subterminal, terminal phase, or the, as we call it, as his last few hours. That is when the patient is going downhill to an extent that it is probably beyond revival. Patient slowly is not able to communicate. He's probably not even open to understanding your non-verbal cues in the last few hours. Family is distraught, and all the verbal communication is left in your hands to do. That's where, apart from non-verbal, your verbal communication skills come more handy. You really help them a lot. If you have journeyed with them for a long period of time, you will be able to help them decide in that phase also certain important decisions कि उनको उनका जो last phase है वो कहाँ हो, घर पे हो, ward में हो या ICU में हो. हर एक के अपने advantages और disadvantages होते हैं, but home and family in a illness, intractable downhill illness like cancer usually is better because वो अपने near and dear ones के पास होते हैं. ICU cares are possible, but usually they do not fetch. Once the patient has reached that stage, not much. आप उनको फैमिली से डिस्टेंस कर देते हो, वेंटिलेटर्स पे ले जाते हो, एंड हमारे क्रिटिकल केयर कॉलीग्स विल एग्री कि वेंटिलेटर्स इतने लिमिटेड है हमारे कंट्री में, उसको हम इन चीज़ों के लिए अगर यूज़ करेंगे तो फिर जिनको करेक्ट किया जा सकता है वो नहीं कर पाएंगे. एंड ऑफ कोर्स फैमिली कैन बी डाउन विद मनी बाय सेवरल डेकेड्स, मतलब 20 साल की उनकी अर्निंग शायद इस फेज में चली जाए और हाथ में फिर भी कुछ ना आए. सो वी कैन हेल्प देम डिसाइड इफ वी आर कम्युनिकेटिंग टाइम एंड अगेन. उन पेशेंट की सिचुएशन को बार बार जैसे जैसे डिटीरिएट करती है उनको अप्राइज करें, इन्वेस्टिगेशन इंटरवेंशंस को मिनिमाइज करें और उनके साथ रिपीटेड शॉर्ट रीअश्योरिंग कॉन्वर्सेशंस करें. जब पेशेंट की डेथ होती है, दैट इज ऑल्सो द टाइम व्हेन वी हैव टू कम्युनिकेट एंड कम्युनिकेट with great degree of sensitivity because they have lost their near and dear one. So this has to be done without delay, and preferably a senior consultant जो भी senior है जो उनके टच में शुरू से रहा है उसको करना चाहिए, फिजिकली करना चाहिए. ये चीज़ हम टेलीफोनिकली नहीं कर सकते. हमें उनको इन्फॉर्म करना चाहिए कि what we tried to revive कैसे हमने करा, and the statement of that should be very clearly spelled out. You can expect an outburst from the patient, which is only natural, but we have to be with them in those period of time, even allow touches and silences if possible. We are not here to blame them or anybody कि आप इतना late क्यों लाए. That is not the time for us to say these things to them. I would like to say हम सब वार्ड्स में होते हैं उस टाइम जब ये इस तरह डेथ्स होती हैं. फॉर्मेलिटीज को एक सेंसिटिविटी के साथ हैंडल करना चाहिए, विदाउट डिले करना चाहिए. एंड अगर ये एक मोबाइल की फोटो मैं लगाती हूँ बिकॉज मैंने देखा, हम सब ने एक्सपीरियंस किया है कि कहीं पे वार्ड में डेथ हुई है और कोई बैठ के मोबाइल पे अपना कोई माइंड गेम या जो भी गेम्स खेल रहे हैं. दिस इज समथिंग दैट वी रियली कैन एंड शुड always avoid if possible. There are other patients in the ward. We have to be sensitive to them because especially अगर वही illness से वो suffer कर रहे हैं तो उनका मोरल एकदम से down हो जाएगा. As healthcare professionals, nurses, doctors, हमारा ये एक ड्यूटी बनती है कि उनको हम sensitivity के साथ handle करें and we bring them out of this kind of depression. बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस होते हैं जो अक्सर मरीज या रिश्तेदार हमसे पूछते हैं कि प्लीज डू नॉट टेल द पेशेंट, क्या ये डेथ, अब इनको कैंसर हो गया तो ये मर ही जाएंगे या कितना टाइम है. इनको बहुत सेंसिटिविटी हैंडल करना चाहिए. वी आर नॉट हियर टू फोरकास्ट कि इनकी कितनी टाइम बची है एंड ऑल, बट एक जनरल आइडिया इज ऑल वी कैन गिव. एंड hope in terms of whatever we can offer is what we need to give to them. In the end, I would like to say, wind up by saying that breaking bad news is something that tests all our professional skills in one go. If we do it badly, the patient or the family members will never forgive us. If we do it well, probably they'll never forget us. With that, I thank again for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Punita. You have brought about, you discussed the important points. जितना हम लोग सोचते हैं उससे बहुत ज़्यादा challenges हैं इस field में, especially when you are dealing with cancer patients. हम लोग as a pathologist, I can understand giving a diagnosis of cancer is much more easier than breaking that news and telling the patient and the relatives and seeing how it goes well. I liked her phrase when she said that we journey with them. I completely agree. You have to journey with them over time when they get treated, because they keep on coming on follow-ups. And of course, if they don't do well, they do well, whatever. And of course, then to rehabilitate such patients is also very important. Thank you, Dr. Punita, for the excellent talk. Now we move on to another area in medicine, which is equally very challenging for communication. That is when we have critically ill patients. And at that point of time, it is a challenge to deal with the patient and more often with the patient relatives in trying to communicate with them and telling them about these patients. And of course, the residents, the staff has to be skilled in that communication. I request Dr. Mohan Gurjar, who is from the Department of Critical Care Medicine, to talk about the challenges in communication in critically ill patients. Dr. Mohan.
नमस्कार सबको। बिल्कुल लास्ट में ये टॉक है where we talk about the communication challenges specific to the ICU patients. ICU अपने आप में एक बिल्कुल अलग जगह है, अलग दुनिया है, एंड किसी के लिए भी कोई पेशेंट या रिलेटिव के लिए ये पूरा लाइफ का सबसे खराब एक्सपीरियंस माना जाता है। फ्रॉम द रिलेटिव्स पर्सपेक्टिव अगर हम सोचें तो जब भी कोई पेशेंट आईसीयू में होता है, वार्ड से या अदर हेल्थ केयर फैसिलिटी से ये क्यों अलग है? आईसीयू में अगर पेशेंट शिफ्ट हुआ है इसका मतलब वो काफ़ी ज़्यादा सिक है और अब उससे पेशेंट्स के रिलेटिव की उससे दूरी भी हो चुकी है क्योंकि आईसीयू में लगातार अलाउ नहीं किया जाता है। अनसर्टेनिटी हमेशा बनी रहती है बिकॉज ऑलवेज समथिंग गोज रॉन्ग इन दिस काइंड ऑफ द सिचुएशंस। डेफिनेटली फाइनेंशियली ऑल्सो बर्डन होता है क्योंकि अभी भी आज के वक्त में भी हमारे देश में अधिकतर सब अपने पॉकेट से पे करते हैं। जैसा शुरुआत से ही बताया गया है कि कम्युनिकेशन ये एक आर्ट है, बट इस आर्ट को कैसे साइंटिफिकली वे में कन्वर्ट किया जाए इसीलिए सेशन भी कंटिन्यू किया जा रहा है। उसमें स्पेसिफिक चीज़ें बताई गई हैं। बेसिक स्किल मैं थोड़ा सा हाईलाइट करना चाहूँगा इस टॉक में जो आईसीयू से रिलेटेड है, स्पेसिफिक है। अदरवाइज बेसिक स्किल्स आपने पिछले सारे सेशन लेक्चर्स में सुना है, काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें हैं, एक एक करके मैं अभी नेक्स्ट स्लाइड्स में आपको बताऊंगा। एंड ब्रेकिंग बैड न्यूज़ जस्ट प्रीवियस लेक्चर में मैडम ने काफ़ी अच्छे से समझाया इसको। आईसीयू में जब पेशेंट है उसके रिलेटिव से कोई बात करता है तो हमें 2-3 चीज़ें बहुत ध्यान देनी चाहिए। सीक्वेंस, आस्क टेल आस्क, मतलब अभी तक हमने ये सुना प्रीवियस लेक्चर में कि हमें सुनना चाहिए मरीज के रिलेटिव से या मरीज से और फिर अपनी बात करनी चाहिए। इस केस में चूंकि मरीज में कई कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी होती हैं, कई सारी चीज़ें इश्यूज होते हैं, सिंगल एक इशू नहीं होता है, तो पहले हम उनकी सुने फिर अपना बताएं, फिर हम उनसे वापस पूछें कि उनको कितना समझ में आया है क्योंकि यहाँ पे सिचुएशन इस तरीके की मरीजों की काफ़ी अलग होती है। सो आई विल एम्फेसिस कि अपना कहने के बाद फिर से उनसे पूछें कि उनको कितना समझ में आया है। सो द सेकेंड लिसनिंग इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। टेल मी मोर, हम बहुत इजीली सिंपल अगर कोई बीमारी है हम बता देते हैं कि क्या हो रहा है और वो अधिकतर सामान्यतः मरीज समझ जाता है। आईसीयू में चूंकि काफ़ी सारी प्रॉब्लम्स कॉम्प्लिकेशंस एक साथ चल रही होती हैं मरीज में, तो हमें उसका मतलब भी बताना है कि ये हो रहा है तो इसका मतलब क्या है। अगर पेशेंट को मशीन पे रखा गया है या मशीन से हटा दिया गया है तो जस्ट इसका मतलब क्या है, इम्प्रूवमेंट है या कोई डिट्यूरेशन है, उसके बारे में हमें एक्सप्लेन करना है। जस्ट सिंपल एक सिचुएशन बता करके कि ये दवाइयाँ स्टार्ट कर दी गई हैं या दवाइयाँ हटा दी गई, इसका मतलब क्या है। कई बार दवाई हटाने का मतलब इम्प्रूवमेंट भी होता है, तो हमें दोनों तरह से उसका मीनिंग भी समझाना है, सिंपल बताना नहीं है कि हमने क्या किया है या ट्रीटिंग टीम ने क्या किया है। कई वक्त पे हम लोग सिंपल एक टाइम कम होता है तो उनको ऑप्शंस दे देते हैं कि ये इस वक्त दिक्कत हुई है, इसके ये 2 ऑप्शन है, आप बताइए क्या करें। उनको क्या पता क्या करें, आपको बताना पड़ेगा, आपको समझाना पड़ेगा ये कंडीशन हुई है, इसमें ये चीजें हैं, इसके ये फायदे हैं, इसके ये नुकसान हैं, और हो सकता है दोनों के ही फायदे ना हो, हम करके देख सकते हैं। तो हमें क्वेश्चन फॉर्म में सेंटेंस उनके सामने फेंकना नहीं चाहिए, उनसे पूछना नहीं चाहिए, बल्कि हमें उसका एक सिचुएशन समझा करके फिर उनका बाकी जो बैकग्राउंड है उसको समझ करके, उनकी बातों को समझ करके देन हमें उनके डिसीजन मेकिंग में हमें हेल्प करनी चाहिए। यस और नो में आंसर हमें नहीं लेना चाहिए, क्योंकि बहुत ही हम ब्रीफ, बहुत ही कम समय उनको हम देते हैं कोई भी चीज़ पूछने के लिए, तो पहले हमें समझाना भी चाहिए उसके बारे में, और अगर वो टाइम लेते हैं तो हमें दोबारा फिर से बात करके वो चीज़ें पूछनी चाहिए। गंभीर मरीजों में इमोशंस रिलेटिव्स में आते रहते हैं, कई फॉर्म में आ सकते हैं। दुख हो जाता है या गुस्सा आता है, खुद पे भी गुस्सा आ सकता है, हम लेट क्यों लाए अस्पताल में, खुद पे गुस्सा आ सकता है, उसके साथ साथ दूसरे स्पेसिफिक डिपार्टमेंट के लोगों में या हेल्थ केयर वर्कर्स में कि उन्होंने देर से यहाँ क्यों भेजा, या जब पता लग गया था तो अब यहाँ पे ये चीज़ क्यों नहीं किया इतनी देर तक। बहुत सारी चीज़ें, उनके डिफरेंट मूड्स चेंज होते रहते हैं पेशेंट्स के रिलेटिव्स के। आप सुन लीजिए उनके, जब वो इमोशन आउटबस्ट हो रहा हो, दैट इज़ अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टाइम, उसको रोकिए नहीं। जो भी कह रहे हैं वो उनके इमोशंस हैं, उनके उस पर्टिकुलर सिचुएशन में उनके जो रिलेटिव नियर एंड डियर को गंभीरता को देखते हुए उसको एक्सेप्ट करिए, उसको समझिए। ये सारी चीज़ें बहुत ज़रूरी हैं जब भी आप बात करते हैं, स्पेशली जब इमोशन आउटबस्ट होते हैं। शुरुआत की मीटिंग्स में ये काफ़ी कॉमन होता है। उनको समझना जरूरी, उनके व्यूज़ को रेस्पेक्ट देना जरूरी है, और उनके व्यूज़ को हमें सपोर्ट भी करना चाहिए, बिकॉज दीज आर द नेचुरल पार्ट व्हेन समबडी नियर एंड डियर इज इन वेरी बैड कंडीशंस। 2 तरीके के एक्सट्रीम एंड पे रिलेटिव हो सकते हैं। एक होता है जो बहुत ही स्पेसिफिक, आजकल जैसे हम कहते हैं गूगल सर्च करके आते हैं, और इवन गूगल सर्च भी नहीं करते हैं, बट दे आर वेरी पर्टिकुलर, आस्किंग वेरी रेलिवेंट क्वेश्चंस, लेबोरेटरी बेस्ड, हिस्टोपैथोलॉजी बेस्ड, और कितना चांस है, परसेंटेज, इस कंडीशन पे ये हुआ। सो हाईली प्रॉब्लम फोकस होते हैं। और एक एक्सट्रीम होती है रिलेटिव्स की, जिसमें इमोशन फोकस्ड होता है कि सर बचा लीजिए, कुछ भी कर लीजिए, हम सब करेंगे। उनको ये मतलब नहीं है कि जो एग्जैक्ट सिचुएशन है कि उसमें बचने के चांस हैं या नहीं हैं। सो बिल्कुल इमोशन बेस्ड वो हमेशा उनका कम्युनिकेशन उनकी तरफ से आएगा। कुछ का बहुत ही स्पेसिफिक प्रॉब्लम फोकस कम्युनिकेशन आएगा। आपको जानना जरूरी है कि किस तरीके के हैं। एक ही पर्सन रिलेटिव, दे कैन चेंज फ्रॉम वन एक्सट्रीम टू द अनदर एक्सट्रीम ड्यूरिंग द कोर्स ऑफ स्टे। पहले वो बहुत ही प्रॉब्लम फोकस बात कर रहे थे, अब ये पूछते हैं कि साहब अब बचेंगे कि नहीं बचेंगे, कोई चांस लग रहा है कि नहीं लग रहा है, कितने दिन लगेंगे, अब उस तरीके की बात करने लगते हैं। सो इट इज ए बिहेवियर विच कैन चेंज इन द सेम पर्सन ओवर ए पीरियड ऑफ टाइम ऑल्सो। ये हमें समझना जरूरी है, ये आपको काफी हेल्प करता है जब आप उनके रिलेटिव से बात करते हैं। जो हमें चीजें नहीं करनी चाहिए गंभीर मरीजों के संबंध में उनके रिलेटिव से, कुछ चीजें हैं, जैसे हमें बहुत ज्यादा उनको डिजीज के बारे में नहीं पढ़ाना चाहिए। हमें स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड अपने एजेंडा नहीं बताना चाहिए कि नहीं ये तो बहुत सिक है, बचने के चांस नहीं है। जस्ट गिव सम टाइम टू एडजस्ट, 1 दिन 2 दिन 3 दिन उनको भी टाइम दीजिए, समझाइए 2-3 दिन हम देखते हैं इसमें क्या चीजें आती हैं, चेंजेस आते हैं, इंप्रूवमेंट नहीं आते, एक एफर्ट कर रहे हैं। और बहुत फोर्स नहीं करना चाहिए कोई डिसीजन मेकिंग के लिए कि नहीं अभी आप बताइए, अभी बताइए, शाम तक बताइए, कल तक बताइए। जस्ट लिसन देम, गिव सम टाइम कि कोई आपको अगर कोई पर्टिकुलर उसमें इंटरवेंशन करना है तो बहुत फोर्स नहीं करना चाहिए। ये सारी चीजें अवॉइड करनी चाहिए फॉर ए बेटर कम्युनिकेशन, स्पेशली जब पेशेंट उनका आईसीयू में भर्ती हो। गिविंग बैड न्यूज का मतलब होता है हमने वैसे ही बता रखा है कि आईसीयू में गया है मरीज, काफी गंभीर है, अनएक्सपेक्टेड आउटकम्स चांसेस होते ही हैं, बट फिर भी आप डेली आप उनको बात कर रहे होते हो और एक उनको पता होता है कि आज कल क्या था, परसों क्या था, या जब आए थे आईसीयू में तब क्या था। उसके बावजूद भी कोई गिरावट या अनएक्सपेक्टेड कोई एडवर्स इवेंट या आउटकम होता है, उसको बैड न्यूज कहते हैं। आईसीयू में जाना ही अपने आप में बैड न्यूज है, पर आईसीयू में जाने के बाद भी एक आपका अंडरस्टैंडिंग होती है या फैमिली मेंबर्स की अंडरस्टैंडिंग होती है, उसमें भी गिरावट होने को अनएक्सपेक्टेडली वो बैड न्यूज कहलाता है। सारे जो स्टेप्स हैं मैडम ने बहुत अच्छे से समझाए हैं प्रीवियस टॉक में, तो ये सब चीजें मैं रिपीट नहीं करूंगा। जब आप कोई भी अनएक्सपेक्टेड बैड न्यूज कम्युनिकेट करते हैं तो यू आर ऑल्सो ह्यूमन बीइंग, बी अवेयर अबाउट योर इमोशन। आपके भी इमोशंस होंगे, तो आपका फर्म होना चाहिए, क्लियर होना चाहिए, बहुत ज़्यादा आपको बात नहीं करनी चाहिए, आपको सिंपल स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड में आपको बताना होता है। उनको बहुत ज़्यादा आपको उस वक्त बैड न्यूज़ में बार बार रिपीट नहीं करना होता है। गिव देम टाइम टू अंडरस्टैंड देयर इमोशंस। तो आउटबर्स्ट भी हो सकता है इमोशन, और वो बिल्कुल एकदम चुप भी हो सकते हैं। आपको समय देना चाहिए, थोड़ी देर बैठना चाहिए उनके साथ। एंड फीलिंग है, कई बार हमें लगता है एज ए केयर गिवर कि हम उनकी जो होप है उनका हमने छीन लिया है। होप हम कभी दे नहीं सकते और किसी की ले नहीं सकते हैं। ये इनर कॉन्शियस से हर एक अपने आप पेशेंट रिलेटिव डेवलप करता है। होप एक ही फैमिली मेंबर्स में सबका अलग अलग हो सकता है उस पर्टिकुलर पेशेंट के लिए। इट इज ए रियली आर्ट टू कम्युनिकेट, स्पेशली द सिक पेशेंट्स के रिलेटिव्स को बात करना। जो अच्छे कम्युनिकेटर होते हैं, आप मानिए पेशेंट की डेथ भी हो जाती है तब भी वो थैंक यू बोल के जाते हैं आपको, इवन आने के बाद भी थैंक यू बोलते हैं। या कई बार बहुत ही खराब आउटकम आ जाता है, पेशेंट ठीक हो रहा होता है और फिर अचानक कोई कॉम्प्लिकेशन एंड डेथ या वेरी वर्स आउटकम होता है। उस केस में भी अगर आपका कम्युनिकेशन स्किल पिछले कई दिनों से, कुछ समय से अगर ठीक था फैमिली मेंबर्स के साथ, तो एक्सेप्टेंस बहुत इजीली हो जाता है। नहीं तो इट इज आपके ऊपर भी स्ट्रेस आएगा अगर आपके पहले के कम्युनिकेशन अच्छे नहीं थे। सो थैंक यू, ये कुछ हाईलाइट थे।
थैंक यू डॉक्टर मोहन, दैट वाज रियली नाइस। बहुत ही अच्छे से डॉक्टर मोहन ने हम लोगों को समझाया, और हैट्स ऑफ टू द डिपार्टमेंट। बाकी डिपार्टमेंट्स में तो कभी कभी ऐसा होता है कि क्रिटिकली इल पेशेंट्स के साथ डील करना पड़ता है, बट क्रिटिकल केयर मेडिसिन में तो एवरी डे यू आर डीलिंग विद द सेम पेशेंट्स, एंड आई थिंक विद एवरी पेशेंट देयर इज अ न्यू चैलेंज. Every patient is different, every relative is different. Thank you, Dr. Mohan, that was really nice, and you're bringing up the point that we will help the patients and their attendants in decision making, and also to understand the barriers that are there with these patients and their relatives. Thank you. Do we have various comments from the audience? They have liked the talks and they have given their own point of view. Thank you everyone for being there. I request Director Professor S.K. Mishra to give his final.
Thank you, Dr. Vinitha, and thanks all the faculty members who have deliberated in this session. As I see the response that has come in the chat, it really encourages us to continue it again for a long time in the future. Thanks for your comment, and we realize that you appreciated our deliberations. Please suggest us also to take up any other area so that we can also find out appropriate speakers to cover that area. So one of the things that is really touchy to all of us is disclosing the bad news. I think which has been covered, I think in this session more elaborately. And all of us face this thing, even if you're not doctor also, when you disclose somebody on the bad news also, you also follow some kind of social norms. And here we have to follow social norms, you have to also follow the medical norms also. There are some guidelines which you have to also follow, prescribed in our kind of Hippocratic oath. So we stand in a very, very critical positions, especially in COVID times. This ethical lectures have started. It is not only COVID times, there are many, many other stressful situations that a doctor and nurse or anybody involved in the healthcare passes through day in and day night. I know many times the relatives of the patient attendant, whoever it is, they are disturbed when the patient is sick. Anybody can become. We also have our own relatives facing any medical care. We feel disturbed. At the same time, it is our duty to remain composed. I have seen in some hospitals some slogans like in the campus. I went to one hospital in Jamshedpur, Tata Main Hospital. The campus has these logos printed everywhere. Serve with smile, serve with smile, with that, what do you call it, the signal of a smile, and serve with smile. And in their apron also, the white coat also, it is written there, serve with smile. I mean, maybe such kind of things also, you just imagine, in spite of all the pain, all the stress that healthcare workers are going through, it is just not only doctors or nurses, even the attendant of the hospital, anybody involved in the healthcare business, they know how stressful it is. But just to serve with smile is so important slogan. And just imagine, once also I saw a WhatsApp video, it has also came to me. So the doctor is reaching 5 minutes late for operation, and the relatives, parents are the patient was a child, supposed to undergo an operation for appendicitis. And the parents are standing outside theater waiting for the surgeon, and surgeon just is 5 minutes late. And they're very angry with the surgeon, how he come late, you know. Then the surgeon did not say any single word. He just operated the patient, and after the operation is over, he came out of the operation theater and smiled and told the parents that your child is perfectly fine. And once the doctor left, then the nurse told the relatives, do you know the doctor has just finished a cremation of his only child and has come to the operations and was just delayed by 5 minutes. So just imagine, he smiled at you and told that your child is fine. So just imagine that how much emotions we all as doctors, we keep ourselves reserved, we never express it. So our duty is to also communicate to the public, communicate to the relatives, that these are the situations that we are going through. And we also communicate with them in spite of all this pain that we have with us. And of course, COVID is the bright example. We have seen how many healthcare workers they lost their lives. So I appreciate again to the team. I really appreciate all of you who have listened to this lecture, not only once, one after the other. I'm sure many of you must be attending all our editions of this. I thank this team, and I request you also to continue it and take up some new areas, and also which is well researched. Then can we find a medium where you can put it in our portal so that people can access it and spread it more and more, like in we have the COVID for all informations are there. So we can do that actually. So that not only this dedicated group, but it can be accessed by one and all, including media and the common public also. Thank you again, and thanks to the team again.
Thank you, Dr. Mishra. Thank you for the encouraging words. We'll see how it can reach to a wider audience. We're ending the session now. Thank you so much. We'll come back next month with something more interesting. Thank you.